Welcome into the Birds of the Round Table for yet another Victory Tuesday as the Philadelphia Eagles move to 10-1 with their overtime victory in the rain over the Buffalo Bills. I am your host tonight, Shane Haff. You can give me a follow on Twitter and YouTube at Shane Haff NFL. Joined as always by the crew. Dibes, give him a follow on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. David, give him a follow on Twitter at PHL Eagle News. Dibes, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Eagles are 10-1. Sixers had an awesome victory on Monday night. Man, it's always sunny in Philadelphia.
Except on game days, apparently. Because apparently there's rain in the forecast again. So it's always sunny in Philadelphia except when the Birds play. David, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great, man. Echo everything Dibes just said. There's so much to get into in regards to that Bills game that I'm just ready to get into that. Enough about me. Let's move on.
All right, let's get into it. For the second time in 6 days, the Philadelphia Eagles found themselves down 17-7 at halftime in a rainy game. And Jalen Hurts did what Jalen Hurts always does. He's now won 8 straight games while trailing by double digit. No other quarterback in the NFL has done that more than 4 straight games. And I'm going to be really sad when that streak's broken because it's currently my favorite NFL stat to give. And my second favorite NFL stat to give died this weekend when the Steelers finally got 400 yards of offense. So this is all I got left. I need the Eagles to keep giving this one to me. But let's talk about the Eagles matchup with the Bills. Let's talk about our biggest takeaways. David, I'll throw it to you first here. What's your biggest takeaway from this Eagles game?
I mean, it's got to be Jalen Hurts. Everyone debates which traits he has, which traits he doesn't have, but he possesses the biggest one and the most important one, which is winning. He is resilient. He never panics. And when the moment is at his biggest, he's at his best. And it got me thinking, how many athletes in your entire lifetime have you ever seen possess this ability? 5 to 10? I mean, there's Brady, Michael Jordan, Kobe, Mahomes at some point. But besides that, there are not many of these guys. They're generational talents, and the Eagles have one right now. He's a quarterback who categorically finds ways to win via any means necessary. And when the team plays like him, it is a direct reflection of him. And the Eagles are executing better than anybody in the league in the fourth quarter when it matters the most because of him. And it's paying dividends in the red zone as well. I mean, Philadelphia scored touchdowns on all 4 of its red zone possessions versus the Bills. And they've scored touchdowns going back, I think, 12 red zone possessions in a row, going all the way back to the Washington game. So for me, he is the take, man. He is the man. He is the difference maker. He is a generational talent. And I think we're all privileged to have him on the Eagles and get to watch this guy play for us on a weekly basis.
Yeah, it's incredible. I just remember talking about the Eagles red zone. I did a video on what was wrong with the Eagles in the red zone early this season, and now they've gone 3 straight games scoring a touchdown on every single red zone trip. They're top 5 in the NFL on the season now on red zone scoring percentage.
Crazy.
It's just incredible. Dibes, what was your biggest takeaway from the game?
Yeah, I remember complaining about the red zone and Kenny Gainwell and Quez Watkins and all that situational play calling. It was a hot mess. But like David said, the take has to be legends were written in stone. Brandon Graham getting that sack on the day he broke the regular season record. Jake Elliott hitting that field goal in those conditions. I mean, these are Eagles legends, man. And then you had the curtain call, Jalen Hurts strolling into the end zone, looking up at the crowd, arms wide. That was his MVP moment. And it was, I'm still in awe, considering how bad the first half was and how elite he was in the second half. It was just an incredible game, a game of just a huge spectrum of emotions for me personally. Just what a good win. And everyone that's complaining about how the Eagles lucked out, this and that and this and that, something's going right. They are in the driver's seat. They have a great matchup here against the 49ers. This is the game I circled on my calendar the second the schedule was released. We're going to get into it, but it's just legends were born, legends were made. it was just one of those games I'll remember for a long time.
Yeah, getting lucky. The Eagles put up 37 points in this game in the rain in a half, which is the most allowed by the Bills defense in a game all season. So the Eagles offense, as badly as they played, coming alive in the second half. What you got, Dibes?
I want to address this comment. My biggest takeaway is that Jordan Davis has shown such an improvement with his stamina and conditioning. He played more snaps this weekend than any other week to date. And we talk about leadership. We talk about, top to bottom, Jalen Hurts sending a message, leading by example, establishing a culture. That play that Jordan Davis went toe-to-toe with Josh Allen, making him or having him avoid to be able to turn that corner, that was straight hustle. That was straight effort. You saw Linval Joseph come to his aid. That was respect, man. This team has championship DNA, and it starts and it ends with the leadership, the resiliency, the unbreakability of Jalen Hurts. That mentality he brings to this team on and off the field is unmatched. And that has a trickle-down effect to guys like Jordan Davis.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I just imagine like Josh Allen scrambling there, and he's getting closer to the sideline, but he's not getting any further away from Jordan Davis. And he's just like, this is not how this is supposed to work. And literally 4 plays before that, Hassan Reddick was spying on Josh Allen, and Josh Allen was able to get the edge on him. And then big old Jordan Davis, man, that was impressive. An impressive run. Was glad to see him get up there. I think he was just exhausted, if I'm being honest. Maybe landed on the ball or something there. But the Eagles offense scored on 5 of their final 6 possessions. The funny thing is the only one they didn't was a 3-and-out on the one possession they had the lead. So they finally got a lead, and it was like, you know what? Let's just go 3-and-out. Somebody on my Twitter said that they've got a conspiracy theory that the Eagles are so much better than everybody else. They have to like the offense and defense take turns making mistakes to try to keep the game interesting, to keep that win probability as low as possible. But the catch is they can't lose the game or they don't get paid. I don't know if I buy it, but it's just crazy. My takeaway though was Jake Elliott, man. Per Next Gen Stats, Jake Elliott had a 20.9% chance of making that 59-yard field goal. That was 10 yards further than it needed to be because of false starts, and he hit it. And Jake Elliott, per Next Gen Stats again, has made all 3 of his field goals in his career with a sub 25% win probability, the most attempts by a kicker without a miss since 2016. He's the 5th kicker in NFL history to make 3 or more field goals from over 59 yards. There have been 58 made field goals. This is per Reuben Frank. 58 made field goals of at least 59 yards in NFL history, and Jake Elliott has made 5% of them. He has never missed a kick. He's 8 for 8 in game-tying or go-ahead field goals in the final 2 minutes of a game. Jake Elliott is as clutch could be. I saw David retweeted like the initial announcement from 2017 when the Eagles signed him from the Bengals practice squad, talking about how that was such a franchise-altering move. Like, comes in his first game and hits a 61-yarder to beat the Giants, makes a clutch kick in the Super Bowl. Jake Elliott, I saw a discussion on Twitter about this. Is he the best kicker in Eagles history? Hands down, no doubt about it.
Yeah. I think Akers would agree at this point. Like it's no question about it. He doesn't even come close to the leg that Jake has. I don't remember how many kicks. I wrote about it like 6 months ago, but Jake has just obliterated like over 40-yard kicks, and Akers had like 5 more seasons than he did playing with the team. It's incredible.
Yeah.
All we need now is Jake Elliott to go to the draft and announce an Eagles selection and troll Cowboys fans, and it's over.
Yeah, that's one thing Jake will never beat Akers at. That was awesome.
That was pretty fun. And in Dallas made it so much better. So Here we go. I'm looking at the splits right now. In his 12-year career, David Akers was 27 of 50 on 50-plus yard field goals. Jake Elliott in his 6.5-year career, he has made two less field goals from 50-plus on 14 less attempts, 25 of 36 versus 27 of 50. Just incredible stuff. Huge one there. What else stood out to you guys from this game? Dibes, anything else that you want to shout out?
I already touched on Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, the field goal block, playing 76 snaps, holding the Bills running backs to 2.9 yards per carry. Those two are going to be so much fun to watch for the next 10 years. That's for me just something special. The defense was gashed late in the fourth, but that's expected. The offense not being able to control the ball, the Bills controlling time of possession. You're expecting the Eagles defense to get gashed, but they made big plays. James Bradbury, the play he had on Diggs in that slot, reading Josh Allen coming over and picking off that pass was massive, absolutely massive. Darius Slay only allowed 1 completion and 5 targets on Sunday. There's plenty of props to be thrown around. I don't blame the defense at all. So just overall, an amazing game that I still have no idea how the Eagles won. DeAndre Swift having after 3 touches in the first half, he had a huge second half, 11 carries, 75 yards. He did have a 1 reception, I believe. So him getting involved in the run game, I think it was there was a 36-yard run. There was a 16-yard run in overtime. The Eagles finally got Swift going, and I hope that carries over against the 49ers because they're going to need that.
Yeah, Darius Slay played a really good game too, and he did something he hasn't done much, and that's move around. Typically, he plays statically on one side. He was flipping sides. He played in the slot. He almost had as many snaps in the slot in this game as he did the rest of the season combined. And so you like to see that adjustments coming from Sean Desai and how he's deploying things. And I mean, the defense gave up 34 points. I thought the defense played well. Like, as I watched the All 22 today, I just kept seeing the defense play well and Josh Allen just make fantastic plays. Like, Josh Allen had an incredible game. He generated a touchdown worth of EPA as a scrambler. The Bills were 11 of 18 on 3rd and long, and so many of those were just superhuman plays by Josh Allen, which makes it even more baffling that at the end of the game, the Bills decided to take a knee. If we want to talk about, and I like to talk about these little game management things that the Eagles do so well, and you see it, Sean McDermott did not. So you get down to the end of the game, right, on 3rd down, you get an incomplete pass, right? But first of all, they called a timeout to get the defense ready for 3rd down. Maybe you need to do that. Whatever. I'll give you that one. But then we get the incomplete pass on 3rd down. And the Eagles had no timeout. So Jake Elliott is standing on the sideline ready to sprint onto the field on a fire drill, right? He's not taking those last few swings of the leg at the net, staying loose. Well, then he goes out there and they call a timeout to ice the kicker. And so he gets to walk back to the sideline and kick a couple times, walks back out, hits the field goal. All of a sudden, instead of having 2 timeouts, you only have 1. And then they just take a knee. This is the same team that 2 years ago saw Patrick Mahomes get into field goal range in 13 seconds to send a game into overtime.
Yeah.
They had 20 seconds, should have had 2 timeouts with a quarterback playing the way Josh Allen was, and they just took a knee. And the football gods don't smile on that, and they end up losing the game because of it.
Yeah.
So, yep. All right. David, do you have anything else you want to shout out on this game?
Driscoll played well. I think it hasn't been said much, but he had a really good game. He was solid, especially when you get a call 3 hours before game time telling you that you're a starter today. I mean, that's never easy. And Shane or Dodge, one of y'all might know the answer to this, but Oz only had 1 reception in the game, but it was a rather big one. a 29-yard touchdown reception there. And I don't know what the probability rate of that pass was to be caught there, but it was not high. And that was an excellent, beautiful pass by Jalen Hurts, man. And Oz said that he followed Hurts' eyes, who was leading him to a certain spot in the end zone there for the pass. I mean, that is just unbelievable, man. I mean, there are just so many of those things that happened in this game that is just incredible. And Hurts set a career high with 5 touchdowns. I mean, that's remarkable as well. I mean, it's just and were all of them in the second half, or 4 of them in the second half? I guess 4 of them were in the second half. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah, 4 of them in the second half, and then 1 field goal drive as well. I don't have anything. I tried to find earlier on Next Gen
It was low.
the completion probability, and I couldn't find one for that particular play.
And I liked on the game-winning touchdown that Hurts came in. Mailata at the end of the game said that Hurts noticed where the safety was in the defensive alignment, and that dictated him running on that play. He said as soon as they saw the safety line back, that was going to be a run draw all the way. And for the players and I mean the fans out there who say Jalen Hurts can't read defenses, well, he read a really big one right there for a game-winning 12-yard touchdown run in overtime.
Yeah, you mentioned Jack Driscoll, and we all saw the first play of the game and thought, man, it's going to be a long game.
Yeah,
Jack Driscoll did not allow a pressure the rest of the game.
That's
Now,
incredible.
There were some. They were doing some chipping with Jack Stoll, and that's not something you normally would see if Dallas Goedert was in, because they like to use him so much as a receiver. But
right.
When you have Jack Stoll instead, you start chipping a little bit. So that certainly helped. There was definitely a drop-off in run blocking versus Lane. I mean, there's a drop-off in pass protection too, but he was good. He was fine, and that's more than I expected. So huge shout-out to him there. My final thing I'll leave here. I've got 2 last nuggets for you. One is that Josh Allen is now 0-6 in overtime games. Jalen Hurts would never. The other is that the Eagles have been outgained by over 100 yards in 4 straight games, and they're 4-0 in those games. That's just mind-blowing.
It is. And the overtime was changed because of Josh Allen's crying. So it's kind of fitting he's 0-6 after all of that.
Yeah. So, although to be fair, I hated those overtime rules. So
yeah.
All right. Well, let's turn the page and let's talk about a huge game that's coming up this weekend as the San Francisco 49ers come to town. A lot of stuff to get into with this one. Dibes, why don't you start for us here? Give me your biggest matchup to watch.
Oh, I can't wait for this one. I got to lead off with that Niners pass rush against the Eagles O-line. It's legit, man. Nick Bosa, that Niners defensive line, they've been crazy productive since the bye week. They have 15 sacks over the last 3 games. Over 1/3 of those sacks has come from Nick Bosa, who is 14th among edge rushers with a 21% pass rush win rate. My man, Javon Hargrave, has the 7th best pass rush win rate among defensive tackles at 16%. They have another guy, Eric Armstead, not far behind, 10th best among defensive tackles. And then all of that has resulted in the number 1 pass rush grade per PFF, which is even more insane when you consider they had the 4th lowest blitz percentage at 18.6%. So they get home with just 4, and they do it as well as anybody. You look at this Niners squad since the Chase Young addition, they've really started to get home. Since that addition, only 2 teams have a higher sack percentage during the last 3 games than the Niners. And Nick Bosa leads the NFL in total pressures, sacks, and quarterback hits since week 5. Against the Seattle Seahawks last game, Bosa had 5 quarterback hits, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. This Eagles O-line needs to be prepared. All signs indicate that Lane is going to be ready to go, correct? Right?
Yeah. Lane's expected to play. I would assume Milton Williams will be fine. He was in concussion protocol. That's why he missed this game. No idea on Fletcher Cox
Okay.
and Zach Cunningham, and that's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Goddard thinks he's coming back too.
Who is?
What?
Goddard said there's a chance he can
Oh,
play.
yeah.
Wow, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the Eagles need to be prepared for this pass rush by the Niners. I like this comment from my man Quentin. More bubble screens. I don't want to see another first half where DeAndre Swift only gets 3 touches in a half. Like they need to get that guy involved. I thought the Eagles offense looked really good when they started getting Swift more involved in the offense. So give me the Eagles O-line versus the Niners pass rush.
All right. Yeah, it's going to be huge where they come out with injuries, especially with Zach Cunningham, because we already know the Eagles are thin at linebacker, right? And the Eagles don't really have a base personnel. They might play 5 linemen, like a 5-2, but they're not running 3 linebackers out there. And the 49ers use 21 personnel, which is 2 running backs, 1 tight end. At the second highest rate in the league, they use 22 personnel, which is 2 running backs, 2 tight ends at the highest rate in the league. So they run a lot of heavy personnel, but then they're perfectly happy to motion Christian McCaffrey out into the slot and try to make linebackers cover him. So they're going to be matchup nightmares. I think you could see Sidney Brown playing a lot as like a box safety linebacker hybrid in this game. But this is a huge game. If the Eagles win this game, they have a 94% chance to secure the 1 seed. If they lose this game, it's only a 50% chance, which is still a great chance. But this is a high leverage game. 49ers coming into the link. Big game here. David, what's your big matchup to watch?
I went with the Eagles run game versus the erratic 49er defense. The Niners are very inconsistent defensively. I saw you touched on it today as well. They go back and forth like a seesaw. You never know which version you're going to get. Overall, their numbers are deceiving. They are ranked 3rd versus the run, but I like the Eagles' chances versus the Niners D-line that features our old friend Javon Hargrave, because if he plays the run in San Francisco the same way he did in Philly, Swift is going to feast. My issues are more about what the Eagles will do than what the 49ers can do. Brian Johnson, in my opinion, has at times appeared to forget about running the ball. An example, Dobbs just said, Swift had 3 touches in the first half versus the Bills. Later in the game, Kenny Gainwell breaks off a 23-yard run. So what comes next? More runs, right? That'd be logical? No. Only 3 of their next 18 plays are designed run plays. Later, Swift gets loose for a 36-yard gain, which sets up another touchdown. So I guess my point is the running game is there, but he's got to utilize it. Hurts has been visibly more willing to run. I don't think that means he's altogether more healthy, but the overall running game is a lot more effective with the threat of his legs being a factor. And I think it comes down to the run game because controlling the line of scrimmage and the time of possession is the key to the game for me.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And to skip back to that, I had this written down. I never said it, but the Bills played a light box on 72% of first down snaps in this game. 72% on early downs in the rain. Just run the football.
Right. It's there for the taking. Yeah.
The Eagles handed the ball to a running back 17 times on early downs for 117 yards, which is just under, it's 6.9 yards per carry. That's 0.107 EPA per play versus 28 dropbacks at 0.02 EPA per play. The Eagles were so much more efficient running the ball on early downs into those light boxes. And for a large portion of the game, they didn't do it. And that's the type of thing. You can't get out to a slow start in this game against 49ers. You just can't.
Right on.
All right. My big takeaway is the defensive line rotation. The interior defensive line against this interior offensive line for the 49ers. So let's start back where we left off with the Bills game. Jalen Carter played 76 snaps in this game. His previous high was 51. Jordan Davis played 62 snaps. His previous high was 37. Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat played 83 and 81 snaps, respectively. That is a lot of snaps. Now, there wasn't much of an option because Fletcher Cox gets injured. During the game, Milton Williams is in concussion protocol, but it's not ideal to have played that many snaps on a short week, right? Because they had Monday night the week before. And now they're facing the 49ers, who have 3 extra days of rest by virtue of playing on Thanksgiving. That's not ideal. The interior offensive line trio of Aaron Banks, Jake Brindle, and Spencer Buford are not very good for the 49ers. I really thought they were going to make a move at the deadline. I wrote a piece on Twitter talking about top deadline moves I thought teams should make. And the big one I had, my number 2 move, was I thought the 49ers should have traded for Ezra Cleveland to help shore up their interior. They didn't do it. Banks has allowed 13 pressures at left guard. Brindle has allowed 19 at center. Buford 24 at right guard. And those guys have combined for 5 penalties. If you like PFF, their PFF grades or pass blocking grades are 51, 45, and 23. Now they're better as run blockers. It's still not good. They're adequate, average to slightly below average as run blockers. They're really bad as pass blockers. And then you look on the other side of the ball, Jalen Carter, number 4 in pass rush win rate. Hopefully you get Fletcher Cox back. Brock Purdy is a guy that struggles when he is pressured. He is more elusive than your Jimmy Garoppolo's that Kyle Shanahan has had to work with in the past, but he is not as elusive as your Patrick Mahomes and your Josh Allens. And people have been really frustrated with the Eagles pass rush the last 2 weeks. Somebody told me on Twitter, the Eagles, I feel like they lead the league in almost getting sacks, but then giving up first downs. And playing Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen will do that. Those 2 guys lead the NFL in pressure to sack rate. Those 2 guys get sacked less when pressured than anyone else in the NFL. That's not Brock Purdy. He can move a little bit, but he's not going to be able to do what you've seen the last 2 weeks. And so there's an opportunity to win on the interior. You need to be able to stop the 49ers rushing attack out of your nickel or big nickel personnel. And that's where Jordan Davis comes in. He's number 1 in the NFL in run stop win rate. The Eagles have to be able to stop the run out of their 4 down fronts, out of their big nickel personnel. You can't be letting the 49ers dictate 3 linebackers on the field to you and then motioning Christian McCaffrey out into the slot and just putting your linebackers in a blender all day. So stopping the run, everything comes down to the interior. You stop the run, you pass rush against this weak interior offensive line. That's your chance to wreck the game. I don't think it's going to be a Reddick or a Sweat game. They've got good tackles. This game is tailor-made for Jalen Carter, and he needs to tee off on Brock Purdy.
We got to talk about Brock Purdy because that guy has been scrutinized on this channel many different times, man. Shane, I want to hear your thoughts because you're more tuned in than I am by far when it comes to across the NFL. But you look at this Niners offense, they lead the league in yards, points, and success rate per drive. Brock Purdy, I think, has definitely taken major leaps when it comes to driving the ball down the football field, at least from stats perspective. This guy has grown as a pocket passer. He's grown as moving the ball down the field. Went from 40% completion percentage to 66% completion percentage on throws 20 yards or more. This guy has completed 22 of 33 attempts of 20 yards or more for 684 yards, 7 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Better deep ball numbers than Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Justin Herbert. To me, the narrative on Brock Purdy was it was all just, within the hash marks, 10 yards or less, short throws. But this guy's moving the ball down the field, man. What's your take?
Yeah, I think Brock Purdy's played very, very well this year. And in their 3-game losing streak, I thought he played well. Now he had some really notable screw ups in that game, some key interceptions and key moments at the end of the game. But even in their 3-game losing streak, if you looked at their success rate, their EPA, it was all off the charts. It was just in key moments. He threw an interception or he fumbled or whatever. Brock Purdy is still capable of missing some throws here or there. if you're talking, who's going to just overthrow a 20-yard guy that's open, I think Purdy is more likely to do that than Jalen Hurts. But Purdy is a good quarterback. He is limited in some ways, but the offense, the scheme around him is so good as well. This 49ers offense is going to be really problematic for the Eagles defense to match up with. I'm looking forward to seeing what Sean Desai cooks up there. But you were talking about just kind of his splits, where he's throwing the ball and things like that. And his deep ball has been really good this year. And that's something that we didn't really see a lot last year. It was a lot of the intermediate stuff, and he's still throwing intermediate passes. Like, let's see, like it's like 38% of his passes are short or intermediate over the middle of the field. But he's throwing the ball outside the numbers a little more. There's still a lot of behind the line of scrimmage stuff. I mean, when you've got guys like Brandon Ayuk, who's having a career year, you have Deebo Samuel, who is still not having a great year, but he's always dangerous. George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. There's so many guys that they can put the ball in their hands and let them make plays. This is going to be a big rally and tackle game. You cannot be missing tackles against this team.
Judah says, what can we do defensively to confuse Brock Purdy to get them out of the system that Shanahan has him in? You look at this guy when blitzed, Brock Purdy, 10 interceptions, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception, a quarterback rating of 113.8, and a completion percentage of 65. Those numbers dip big time when under pressure. I mean, that kind of is tailor-made for an Eagles team that doesn't necessarily blitz a lot, but they should disguise some blitzes. Any thoughts on that, Shane? Because, I mean, we know Brock's going to get the ball out fast, get it out to his playmakers. And that's kind of when we've seen this Eagles defense struggle a little bit, when they're playing more left to right, more horizontal. So any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think this is a big blitz game. I think you want to play a lot of coverage here. If you want to do the sim pressure thing and be willing to bail Hassan Reddick or Josh Sweat into coverage at times and blitz Christian Ellis or whatever, I think you can do some things like that. But generally speaking, I don't think you want to blitz Purdy. You want to come in with and it's not the same thing, but with a Miami Dolphins-esque game plan that you want to take away those over the middle throws. You want to force him to throw out breakers. So much of what they do is in breakers, those 15-yard in breakers, and they don't have the speed Miami does. They do have more weapons than Miami does. Miami was really limited, and Jalen Waddle was injured in that game. They only really had Tyreek Hill. The 49ers don't have that speed, but they do have a lot of weapons. I would want to sit on those in breakers and make him throw outside the numbers from an uncomfy pocket.
Yeah, Ayuk and Deebo on those screens scare me a little bit. They definitely scare me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's
throw it around. It's the interior pressure. That's the key to stopping Purdy. I mean, their center and their guards are not that good. You were a little generous in giving them a little flowers there, but they have been really bad. I mean, I think that is the whole key to it. You get in his face with the interior pressure, it's going to be a long day for him. If Jalen Carter and Cox and those and Milton Williams don't, then it's going to be a very long day.
What's the prognosis on Milton Williams?
He should be fine. I mean, it was a concussion, and it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare to not miss a game in concussion protocol, but it's really rare to miss 2 in a row. So, I mean, I don't know anything, but I'm just assuming he'll play.
He's been so underrated. I would love to get him back.
Yeah. The bigger one is I think it was Cunningham and Cox were both hamstring injuries. I think so. Hopefully they are both fine.
What's the weather, Quentin? What's the forecast?
It's supposed to rain again.
Rain.
Oh, are you serious? Oh my God.
Rain.
All right, well. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to say. Like against the Bills, the rain favored the Bills because Josh Allen just got a cannon arm and it doesn't really affect him. Against the 49ers, Brock Purdy doesn't have that kind of arm. So, but I don't know that you want to get into both teams can only run the ball sort of game either. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what you pull for on that.
Yeah, it's going to be a really close game.
Yeah.
So.
All right, well, let's get into our player of the game and score predictions. David, I'll throw it to you first this time. Tell me who your player of the game is and give me your score prediction.
Wait, hold on. I got to give David props. David picked Devontae Smith in week 12. Well done. And, well, actually, Shane, you picked Jalen Hurts.
5 touchdowns.
Yeah,
And
that's hard to beat.
Ryan picked DeAndre Swift. I was the idiot that took Hassan Reddick. So I mean that you can discuss that, but it's got to be Jalen Hurts, right?
Hurts breaks a record with 5 touchdowns as Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
All right, Shane, we're giving it to you. Sorry, go ahead.
It's like a cheat code. Just keep completing passes to the 1 yard line and sneaking in. But
Yeah.
all right, who do you got this week, David?
All right. Well, I couldn't talk about the running backs as my biggest take and not take them. So I'm taking DeAndre Swift. I think he's going to have a very big game. If we're doing a score, I agree with y'all. It's going to be a close game. I don't know if the weather favors a lot of points or fewer points. I mean, at one point it looked like the Bills game wasn't going to be a shootout, but then it turned into it. So I'm going 31-28 Eagles. I still think they pull it out. As long as Jalen Hurts is on the team, I'm not picking against them, man. I know a lot of people are having doubts picking them, and it's an unusual situation that we've always been the team that's chasing everybody, but now we're the hunted. Everybody's trying to get us. We're the top dog now. So I'm until somebody knocks us off our perch, I'm continuing taking them.
All right. Dibes, throw it to you here. Who is your player of the game prediction?
Come on, man. You know where I'm going with this. Like it's we just pumped him up the entire show. It's got to be Jalen Carter.
I was going to say, whichever Jalen you don't take, I'm taking. So.
He's my favorite player on this team, but without a doubt. Every single week, he just makes me smile. He hasn't been necessarily getting home with the sack totals lately, but I mean the blocked field goal. Playing 76 snaps. Let's go, Jalen Carter, getting into the face of Brock Purdy in this one. I'll go Eagles win this one 31-30 in another very close game.
All right, so I will take Jalen Hurts then. I really was going to take Jalen Carter. I thought you would take Hurts.
Dude, I've picked Jalen Carter on this show like 8 times.
I know. Yeah, I'll take Jalen Hurts. I mean, his ability to put up touchdowns from the 1 yard line is unparalleled. So there's always a chance I'm going to sneak in, pun intended, some of those. So give me Jalen Hurts, and I'm going to go, man, every logical part of my brain tells me I should pick the 49ers. For the aforementioned reasons of how tired the defensive line's got to be, the 49ers with extra days rest, all that. But I don't know how you can pick against the Eagles right now. The way that, I mean, in overtime, when the Bills got the ball first, my mentality wasn't get a 3 and out. It was just hold them to a field goal and we'll win. And like when you have that kind of confidence in your quarterback and your offense, I don't know how you don't pick them. So I'll take Jalen Hurts, the clutch factor here. I will say the Eagles win 28-24. I think it's going to be a close one, hard fought one. End of the day, the Eagles leave with a 94% chance. 94% chance for the 1 seed and a chance to completely lock it up the next week on Sunday Night Football against the Cowboys. So there you have it. Quentin is close to my score here. He's very close to my score. He also never gives us a score. So if the Eagles lose, this is on Quentin. He never gives a score, and he gives a score this week. So you guys remember this. All right. Dibes, David, either of you guys have any other thoughts you want to throw out about this game before we do plugs and get out of here?
What are the odds that Shaq Leonard is ready to go this weekend?
0.
Yeah. Would be nice, but
because
no.
I am pretty worried about Christian McCaffrey going up, getting those mismatches against our linebackers and things like that. That's a big time concern.
Christian McCaffrey versus Christian Ellis. Let's go.
Oh, I mean, to be fair, the Eagles were incredible in big moments, stopping the run. But final thoughts, man. In Jalen Hurts, we trust, right, Shane? That's the end all be all in this one. They win this one. The skies are clear, and the Eagles can kind of cruise through this one with a pretty easy schedule. Last 3 games of the season, 2 against the Giants, 1 against the
Cardinals.
And final thoughts. Props to the Atlanta Falcons for taking down the Saints. That was a good one, considering we have their 2nd round pick. I'm a draft nerd, so I love to see that. Let's keep that Saints losing train rolling.
All right, David. Final thoughts. Plug your stuff. The floor is yours.
I have a piece out today on Philly Sports Network regarding Devontae Smith. It's basically about his uncharacteristic 2 drops he had versus the Jets and the total 360 or no, I guess it'd be a 180 that he took since then. He has just been amazing since then. I think he's had 23 receptions for 355 yards and 3 touchdowns, but just as importantly, a 90% catch rate since he had those 2 drops, which is just incredible. And it seems like every time there's a big moment, Jalen Hurts is relying on him, looking for him, and getting the ball to him. He's come down with some really big touchdowns, some really big first downs. So that's all I have. I'm looking forward to the game. I mean, Eagles 3, Gauntlet 0 so far. So let's keep it going.
All right. My final thoughts, in the immortal words of Jalen Hurts, is rain, sleet, or snow, the Eagles train to go.
Yes.
That's going to do it here for this episode of Birds of the Round Table. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll go live every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. We'll be live next Tuesday night breaking down an Eagles victory over the 49ers to move to 11-1. You guys have an awesome rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Birds game, and we'll see you here next Tuesday night. Go Birds.